does.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay,
Good.
now we're ready. All right, we'll call this meeting to order. This meeting and all meetings of this council are open to the public. Proper notice has been posted and given to the press in accordance with Wisconsin statutes, so citizenry may be aware of the time, the place, and the agenda of this meeting. We'll have a roll call.
Shani Appleby. Here. Bruce Brunner.
Here.
Johanna Edwards is absent. Nick Gunderson.
Here.
Scott Rasmussen.
Here.
And Jim Zandro is absent.
Okay, thank you. We'll ask Nick Gunderson to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, then we will need a motion to approve the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda. I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the agenda. Any questions, comments, or concerns on the agenda? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Next, I would look for a motion to approve the minutes from our regular council meeting and the reorganizational meeting on April 15th, 2014, and our special council meeting on April 24th, May 7th, and May 15th.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. Any comments, questions, or concerns on those meetings? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Citizens appearance. Mr. Savoy, library rep.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to remind everyone and invite everyone to the quilt show this coming weekend on the 30th and the 31st. It will be in this room down here. We do have entries. Right now, it sounds like there are quite a few people from surrounding areas, not just from Weyauwega, interested in coming. They like the library setting, they like the closeness. So if you're free and you would like to come down, it will be 30th and the 31st. Also, we've talked about the ups and downs with circulation. The month of April, we were down 0.6% from the year previous. But right now, it looks like in May, we're starting to pick up again. So it's one of those, one day you're up, one day you're down a few points. But it has not been drastic, and overall for the year, we're still ahead. Did receive a call or a mailing from Charter on the digital setup box that will provide service down in this area here. He was here today and I met with him. We're going to redo the wiring because it's old wiring, and for this new service it requires new wiring, but apparently that's all on their nickel because we're already hooked up here now. So that will be done, and it should be done within the next 2 to 3 weeks. And I had 3 choices of going overhead or going along the building or underground, and it's Wisconsin, it's winter time, it's going underground. So right now, I'm looking forward to getting that taken care of. And one of the things that came up at our meeting on Monday night, you had said apparently to Christy that you're looking the city to change the phone service.
We, as part of, when we talked to Charter, the council had approved, right now we're with CenturyLink,
Okay,
moving phone and internet service
Yep.
over to Charter. As part of that, Charter gave a quote and a plan for the library too.
okay,
The problem for the city's end is that we would have to get brand new phones
okay.
at
that-
City Hall to change over our phones. The library, though, to my understanding and Christie's, is the library has newer phones that the transition could be a lot
Okay,
easier on that end. But it's, as you're aware, with the CenturyLink phone bills,
They're
long
high.
distance and everything being real high,
Mhm.
that's the reason to move to Charter. But for your internet, you go through the state library
Yes,
system though, so
we
the
do,
internet's not affected at all.
And the only question that came up along with that, and I don't know if you have the answer to that. If you change to the charter,
Yeah.
will they immediately transfer the current phone numbers, or do we have to be looking at new phone numbers?
No, they'll port everything over. Yep, they'll move everything that you have now, all the same phone numbers,
Immediately, or do they?
whenever
grant it
whenever
along?
you tell them to.
Really?
Yep.
Because everybody that was talking about it said, sometimes they
No.
play people for 2-3 months.
No, it'll be, actually,
Okay.
they've called already trying to move City Hall over, and we've gotten the approval to change, but we're looking at the phone systems though. so-
Whenever you're ready, then just let Christie know or let
Yep.
me know, and we can go from there. We have the approval of the group, so we're all set
Oh, that
there.
sounds good.
The
I have a
biggest
phone
question
number.
was the timing.
Yep, it's as soon as you guys, and it
Okay.
sounds to my understanding that you can switch over a lot quicker than we'll be able to, so.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Other than that, I don't think I have anything else to report. If you have some questions, I will be happy to answer them if I can. No questions? I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Frank.
No, that was the only one.
Okay. No other citizen appearance, and I'll ask, we'll move on to the committee reports, and we'll have the finance committee.
On behalf of the Finance Committee, we recommend approval of a $30 meter installation charge and a monthly meter fee of $2.85 for the 5/8 diameter meter and $4.25 for the 1-inch diameter meter for the second meter program.
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded to recommend the meter installation charge and monthly meter fees as read. Any questions or comments?
Just make a quick comment, this is for the second meter program that we had approved to enable summer watering credits for customers in the city. This motion will set the fees at the rates that are approved and on file with the Public Service Commission. The problem we have with this, and it's something that the Finance Committee will be taking a look at, for each one of these meters, a customer will have to probably hire a plumber or take care of the plumbing in their house to accommodate this meter. They would pay a $30 meter install charge, and the monthly fees are $2.85 for a 5/8 inch meter. The cost of the meter alone is about $200. And so the city is shouldering, in order to meter accurately all of this water that we would potentially be crediting for people, we're paying $200 for the meter, we're paying $25 for the connections, so the homeowners will plumb up their home, when we put the meter in, it's $200 for that, $25 for the connections, and then on top of that, we're paying our guy to, on average $18 to $20 an hour to do this work. So it's not that the city's coming out on these fees at all. If we wanted to review these fees to determine whether they should be higher or lower, we would have to go through a whole process with the Public Service Commission to request a rate update. That's not something we're doing right now. So this motion here would set the fees for the program at the approved rates that we have to the Public Service Commission. Does that make sense? The big thing I wanted to put out there was, we're not really offloading costs because the city has an awful lot of costs wrapped up in the meters themselves.
But it gives accurate credits to the citizens.
Absolutely.
And that's what this is all about.
Absolutely. Yep.
Any other comments, concerns?
Has there been a lot of interest from people?
Right now, we've had, I want to say maybe 10 to 12 people call, ask about how much they use, to try to make the decision on whether this will save them money.
Right.
So we haven't had anyone install a meter. We've had some people that have had these meters all along. So those are the people that are on the program, but yeah, after this motion here, the rest of this week, we'll be touching base with those people that we have on file and saying, okay, it's watering season now, here we go.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion's carried.
Finance Committee, we recommend approval of checks 30520 through 30590, totaling $124,251.31, and the monthly financial statements.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Any questions or comments on any of the checks or monthly finance statement? Actually, roll call?
Brunner,
Aye.
Appleby. Aye. Rasmussen,
Aye.
Gunderson.
Aye.
Motion carried with 4 ayes.
Anything else, Scott?
No, that's all, thank you.
Thank you. Public Works Committee.
I'd like to recommend approval of change order for new electrical service at the park restroom for $1,000. I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any questions or comments?
It's just a quick comment. This is for the electrical service for the brand new restroom that we're building in the park. Right now, Weyauwega brings power into a single point and a single meter in the community park. From there, the city owns all of the lines and all of the poles off of that. So we had a couple options. We could spend about $2,900 for Weyauwega to run the service and add a new meter to this building. And on top of the $2,900, we would then have monthly meter fees for an extra meter. But because we already own and all of the lines are private and we have one meter now, the electrician that is wiring the building is able to wire or run our own private line from our meter to this building for $1,000. Now, they're not upgrading the service in that area, so the fear or the question that we have is, we may run into, we have 100 amp service in that area, so if there's, 10 or 12 crock pots or Nescos that get plugged in, there's a chance that we may blow something out there. Now, we're probably going to be testing that in the next week or two here, because the worst time to find out whether you don't have enough power is when it's fully loaded with people renting the shelter. Where we could spend $1,000 to run a line here, that same electrician has given a quote, and it's in your packet, where Weyauwega's was $2,900 for a new meter and the upgraded service to 200 amp. This electrician can do for $2,800, a little bit less, upgrade us to the 200 and still not have us install a new meter. So we'll still save meter fees there. And if we need to upgrade, we can go through Bauer Electric and get there for cheaper than what Weyauwega would charge us. Does that make sense?
100 amp service makes sense.
Yeah, and that's where we figured we'll find out if it's not enough, we'll fix that.
And it's in conduit, right, so he just has to pull.
Yep.
Right. Yep.
I guess has there been any discussion about possibly doing other shelters up there in that facility?
Adding new shelters?
Yeah, doing something to the ones that are there, updating them?
We've been, yeah, go ahead.
I guess if that was the case, then I guess I would've said, put the 200 on there and branch off of there. Because then it's kinda, I don't know where it is now, but at least then it's kinda concealed, it's locked up. Nobody can get at it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have people monkeying with it, but I'm not sure where it is, but it was just a thought that,
Yeah, and it's all of the shelters in that area right now, I believe, have power running to them. It's just a matter of, how often are they all rented out? And it's not that often, though when we're building a very nice restroom and a very nice shelter that's closer to the parking lot, that might be more inviting too.
And those will be, and are the most popular shelters that are rented first above anything else.
Yeah.
and with that being a newer shelter and recently wired, that's the one that everybody's gonna call for now.
As soon as the
Because-
article is in the newspaper.
Because they'll be able to plug more stuff into that.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
Which I know that, if you've had anything up at the first hauler there to plug in, I suppose.
And we were talking about that even the swim lake facilities run off from that same, so that's what we're gonna test is try to see if we can overload it and before everything gets going and some of the party gets room.
Okay. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any other questions about the park restroom for the additional service, electrical service? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
We recommend approval of the contract with Just Call Me LLC for nuisance weed grass cutting services for 2014.
I'll second that.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to approve, just call Nick. LLC for nuisance weed and grass service cutting for the year of 2014. Any questions or comments?
That's just a quick comment that we had talked about, the homes, basically foreclosed homes in town or people that neglect to cut their grass when it gets to 8 inches long, that we had put out quotes, or put out to receive quotes for a service that will come and do that in a timely manner when we need them within a day or two. And also, it frees up our summer lawnmower for the mowing of the park and city-owned property there. We did get 3 quotes. 2 of them were timely by April 28th. The third one came in later that week. But the quote that was recommended for approval was Just Call Me LLC.
This person showed the most interest by even stopping by City Hall, except for.
He called before we were even talking about doing this. I mean, we were already talking about it, not publicly, but he had stopped and said, "This is what I do, I would like to do it for you," and we said, "Well, there will be a process coming up." And the rates are listed in there too. The big thing is the way this works, and I know you guys are aware, when someone's grass gets to about 8 inches tall or it's a nuisance, we send them a letter as a city and say, please remedy this within, usually it's 3 days. If they don't, then we usually go out and cut it and then bill them. And the idea would be, this is not going to be a set schedule where this mower will know every Thursday I'm gonna do 6 properties. It could be none, and it could be more than, 3, 4, 5 of them on short notice. And on top of that, if we're sending a letter when it's 8 inches, 4 or 5 days later is by the time that this gets cut. So that's maybe not even the best practice yet, but it's what we're working with now. And last year I could tell you there's a couple properties when we didn't use a brand new mower, we used an older one. We ran through a property that had about a dozen brass doorknobs sitting in the yard. So we ran our mower over that. These are not, the best kept yards, lots. It's really, in a way, the city is kind of offloading a little bit of risk and damage to the equipment too on that. So
How is the billing handled with the citizens then?
the way that works is the city charges an administrative fee. We would get billed by the contractor, and then we pay the contractor, we bill out the properties then, and if it doesn't get paid, which with a lot of the foreclosed homes, if they don't pay the bill, it goes on the property taxes as a tax lien at the end of the year, and then it gets collected that way. And that's very similar, most or all communities that do this type of work, that's how that's taken care of. Part of it is contractors wouldn't come do it without a guarantee that they'll get paid,
Yeah, right.
and we have a route to recover the funds for that.
And do we have to send them a letter each time? So if we do it,
We do.
okay.
Yeah, and that's mandated, when you have the power to put this on their taxes, you have to notify them. There were some that every week or every week and a half, we'd be there cutting them. A lot of the ones that are sitting vacant, but
Before we can cut it, you have to send them a note.
and we have to give them an opportunity, and yeah,
Same as shoveling snow on the sidewalk.
absolutely. The big part about this too is what we're gonna do, and from my past experience elsewhere, you'll get a contractor that could go out and cut grass, and when the bill comes, a homeowner may call and say, well, I cut it. I take a picture with your truck or whatever you have that's there that shows 8 inches, 10 inches of grass, and then when you're done trimming, cutting, everything, take a picture of that too, you know? And you may have times too where the contractor will start working and in the middle the homeowner comes out and says, whoa, no, 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 I'll, you know, may finish the job for him, but that's no different. I mean, I don't know that we've run into that when we've had our own guys going out to cut it. A lot of this is, you know, people know we want them to cut the grass and give them enough opportunity to do it, and if they don't, we do it for them, so. But 8 inches is tall. I mean, that's tall grass, so that's part of what we may look at too.
Doesn't take long the way the
No.
others been.
Well, I was looking at my own because
Same here.
the front yard is kind of scrubby and doesn't grow, but right on by the curve on the corner where it curves around, it was this, but the rest is, so could we do an average thing on mine?
Big 3 readings across your property.
Because, yeah, I mean, anyway, I cut it. It was about 7 3/4.
7 and 7/8.
Okay, any other questions or comments? All in favor then for recommending the approval of the contract with Just Call Me LCC for nuisance and weed cutting for 2014? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Nothing else to council.
Nothing else. Thank you. Police, fire, and ambulance.
I'd like to recommend approval to hire Lisa Whelan as time agency coordinator for a maximum of 15 hours per year. You want to explain a little of, oh yeah, Brandon, a second.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a
Sorry.
motion and a second. Did everybody understand what that was, or need an explanation?
Did I give them a quick, what the time agency coordinator is?
Well, essentially what the time agency is, the time system is what we run, driver's license, vehicle information, warrants, stuff like that through the state system. You have to have a time agency coordinator who keeps track of all the training and make sure all your officers are up to date with all the mandates to be able to use the time system. The training is, I believe it's a week long, and it's rather intense. It's nothing, the actual officer on the end only uses a quarter of what's available in the time system. You know, we're just running license plates, driver's license essentially. The time system can enter warrants, missing children, and all the other things that the time system does. Well, someone has to keep track of that, and for somebody from our agency to go be trained and not, if you don't utilize all that different aspects of the time system, you tend to lose, you lose that knowledge of how to do it. Lisa is a full-time 911 dispatcher at the county, so she's well versed in how to do it. For the $15 or 15 hours a year that it would take to keep our staff trained and in good standing with the state, it would just make sense to hire her, who's already on top of it, who's already receiving the training, hire her as a employee of the city, or the police department, to just train us and make sure that we fall within the mandate that the state requires. And 15 hours is probably more than adequate for our officers to stay trained.
Anybody have any other questions?
No.
We have a motion and a second then to approve the hiring of Lisa Whelan as a time agency coordinator for a maximum of 15 hours per year. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. That's all for that. Public health and ordinance.
No action for council.
Okay. Recreation.
No action for council.
Public property and purchase.
No action for council.
No action. Planning commission has no action also. We'll business, approve operator's license for Tabitha LaRue, Wilson's Brickhouse. Need a motion and a second for that?
I'll make a motion to approve the operator's license for Tabitha LaRue.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion for made and second. Any questions or comments? Take it she has passed. Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And then I need a motion then to approve the Class B retailer's license for the Weyauwega Area Fire Department for June 1st, 2014.
I'll make the motion to approve for the retail license for Weyauwega Area Fire Department for June 1st.
I'll second that.
Second. Any other questions or comments with the approval of that? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
What day is that in on?
June 1st. Unless you want to go on the 7th with Becky.
Sugar line.
All right, next. Municipal after you're gonna hold it, do that. That's now.
Yep.
Okay. We all know we've had, we put out for contracts for looking for municipal attorneys. We've received 12 proposals, got it down to 5. Did our interviews with them all. And I guess at this point, I'm gonna ask if anybody would like to make a recommendation or how we wanna handle it from here.
Would you like to read who we interviewed? Would you like to?
Ken,
Just for the,
okay, we had, broke down to, Davis and Cluthier, Cowards, Duffy, Gagney, and Erdman, Murphy, Desmond, SC, Vanep's, Worth, and Bolter, and
Those are the
then
four.
them were the 4, excuse me, it was 4. Hopefully you guys looked at all of your information from our interviews with them all, and how do we want to go from here?
Well, I guess I'd like to make a motion that we, enter into agreement with Davis and,
Q Thaw.
I knew I'd kill that, so I.
I would second that.
Okay, we have both, we have a motion and a second on the floor for Davis and Cluthaw, Oshkosh and Green Bay offices. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
Joanna did give us a letter or a statement, since she couldn't be here tonight. It says that I desire to submit in writing a personal opinion in lieu of my absence. As it pertains to the matter of city attorney, I feel strongly that we select law firm of Davis and Cluthaw. I feel that they are the most equipped to handle any needs of the city, seen or unforeseen. They have the largest spectrum of attorneys specializing in various areas. We have also seen their professionalism and expertise in recent past interactions on police and commission matters. I wish to thank the other attorneys and firms for their time during the interview process. They were all professionals and talented options. Again, I feel Davis and Cluthier was the best option.
looked at it, for what we've encountered at least in the last almost 3 years I've been here, and looked at the overall picture, even though I had mixed feelings, I realized then that I had to be unbiased, and I agree with that.
Okay, thank you. Then with a motion and a second on the floor, I will ask for a roll call, please.
Appleby? Aye. Brenner?
Aye.
Rasmussen?
Aye.
Gunderson?
Aye.
Motion carried with 4 ayes.
For the record, I'd like to state in the minutes that I would like to voice my appreciation for Dave Worth and his efforts and legal advice to our city over the years. It has not gone without being recognized or appreciated. But going forward with the future growth of our city and the plans that we have and the legal issues that we may come across, I think it's best to move forward with a little more progression.
Very good, thank you. I have to agree with that. The only other question I will ask is when are we having this go into effect? June first?
You are recommending to enter into a contract with Davis and Q-Tow. Now, what you will do, you have a proposal, you will want to contact them. You did have the note here now. So the process will probably drive itself a little bit on them. You know, when they gave you the proposal, they didn't give you the contract itself, it's a here you go. I would imagine that would come to you then, but your action should be good enough to get that moving.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we can tweak that contract and fine tune it as well. They made indication that they were willing to work with us.
Yeah.
So it best fits our needs, so.
Right, yeah, and if you are unable, with the initial RFP that we put together, we left a 2-week period that if you were unable to come to an agreement on a contract, that then you would go to, you know, your next best option, but you may not know that until you try to enter into a contract with them. So,
All right, and we'll move on. Mayor's report, I just wanna, if anybody's out looking, I've had a few people with concerns about branches hanging down on sidewalks and kind of cleaning up the city's portion. You know, we do have some issues out there that we are trying to handle, but we need to make sure, but if you guys see any or are told of any, please let Pat know so he can let the guys know so we can touch base on those. I've had some people talking about it, that they can't walk down the sidewalk without hitting the branch, or, you know, some stop signs, I guess, are covered in town, and so if we can get our guys to clean them up and maybe talk to the homeowner if it needs to be, whatever has to be done, we need to take a look at that.
Of course, also ones in the streets where your vehicles hit, like Southwest Street, I know ones, I mean, anything that really is,
Yeah, right.
not just sidewalks, stuff that overall.
No. If it's hitting your Mustang, I'm sure that, yes, it definitely needs to be cut.
That'll be a priority.
I'm just talking about my work van, and I really don't care, but it's the principle.
Yeah, no, it is, yes, you're right. And I think that's all I have, and thank you for our working on trying to come up with 12 proposals here that we did. Thank everybody for helping and working on making the decision. Thank you. Now we will move on to the administrator's report.
I'll give a quick update. You do have in your packet a note from Cedar Corp with a quick update on the City Hall project. They intend to be at the June City Council meeting, and this, again, the phase that we're in with the design phase, they had laid out that this would probably go through July, so they intend to probably be at the June meeting, the July meeting. Just a quick highlight of what they've been looking at. They've been looking at the floor heights of the three buildings and how they correspond with ADA accessibility. In the renderings that we put together, we assume that wherever you put the front door, it would come right out on the sidewalk in a manner that is up to code. That's not the case because all three buildings are at a different elevation. So that's part of what they're doing now, is really taking a look at, you know, your floor plan and the renderings. Is it going to fit with what's there existing now? So they're looking at that. They're looking at reviewing the configuration for the basements. You know, what do you got for size? What do you have for uses that you could have there? Again, they're verifying all the existing conditions of each building that we have. They're updating the preliminary plans, which is what they had put together for your review at the public info meetings. They're also, I mentioned the EDA access, they're taking a look at site constraints and the elevation. So if we would have to install a ramp out the front door, you can't have a ramp on the sidewalk. And for most of you who are familiar with the front doors of those buildings, the sidewalk is right there. So they're looking into that. They are looking at the backside of the city hall, the mall build, well, all three of them, you know, what kind of room do we have there? And as you know, behind the antique mall building, we do not have a whole lot of room. They're also looking at a review of the building system, so plumbing, electrical, HVAC, to see what kind of condition those are in. And they've also been reviewing with some of their local contractors that they deal with on other projects to make sure that the estimate or the cost estimate that they come to is going to be a realistic one, which is the idea of this whole process that we're in right now. They're continuing efforts. They're meeting with the administrator, me, and that's going to be this Friday from 11 till 1. We're going to take a look at the plans we have. We're going to walk through the buildings. Right now, it's scheduled as a staff meeting. We did not post it as a public meeting to invite the council, but if some of you are free or are interested in walking along, we should probably talk about that before tomorrow, because if we have a quorum of the council show up to the meeting, obviously it's a public meeting that we'd have to notice. Right now, the plan is not to do that, that whatever these findings will be, will go to the June meeting. They've been, again, coordinating with the local contractors for cost development, and then they've also, they're looking at whether the floor plans that you've put together are actually going to work based off of their findings and their study. So that's the update with the City Hall project. Again, they've been giving monthly emails, and starting in June and July, they're going to come to the meetings as we finish up this phase. The other update that I have for you is there was a very nice article last week in the County Post about the restroom building that we have. It's supposed to be finished this week, the building itself, and the goal was Memorial Day, so it's just about to make it. What will be left then is within the next 2 weeks, they're going to look at the existing restroom that's there now, probably looking at tearing that down, removing that, and then also final landscaping, because they did dig into the hill to get the building where they needed to go. And they'll also install new sidewalks so that it'll be accessible from the parking lot to the restroom, and then also to a couple of the other shelters in the area there. So that will be, the site work is going to be the final piece there. And as Becky had mentioned, people, once they saw that in the article in the paper, they were calling to change up their reservations. So
You don't think that old restroom changing room can be used for
we took a look at it.
storage or
Why that
It's-
building is
It's falling on itself right now.
as a block building?
literally,
Bad
I
shape.
think that's bad.
Yeah. The one thing we are looking at, we're collecting quotes that will probably go to Public Works, is to convert one of the lesser used shelters in the park to like a cold storage. We're getting quotes on that. That will go to Public Works, because then from here, if we tear down that building, that's our storage right now. Either we have to haul equipment from elsewhere in the city to get it there, or build a new garage, which could be costly, or look at converting an existing structure there.
Just,
So,
that means basically enclosing it, and,
yeah,
which is not a high cost.
right.
That's a discussion for another day.
And it is, yep. So those are the updates there. I do not have anything else.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, police chief's report, Mr. Brandon, is that what you're doing?
I wasn't provided a report, but I can give you a quick skinny. This week, or last week and this week, we're kind of hot and heavy with training. I don't know if you see a lot of officers coming and going. We're at various trainings and what have you going on. I know the chief Poltrock is doing background work on a potential candidate for part-time hire. To begin, I don't know, sometime hopefully soon. Seems like they have all the qualifications and our latest trends and equipment that we use. We have 2 officers who are going on to different stages in their life and be leaving the police department probably around August area, August, July. So we got some transition there. As of today, late today, we have a couple of ongoing intense investigations that are proving successful results. As of that, we not much has changed.
As far as the officers that would be going elsewhere in July or August, whenever that was, is that part-time or full-time?
Part-time.
Part-time, okay. Thank you, Brendan. All right. We have nothing else, and I would ask that we set our calendars for the June meetings.
Right now, finance is set for June 2nd, first Monday at 6 o'clock. Public Works is set for the following Monday, June 9th at 6. Council then will be the Monday after at 6:30. Recreation, I think we need to have one.
We will need a meeting, yep.
Did you want to keep it at the first Tuesday of the month, which would be June 3rd? Or did you want to change it?
We should go ahead and keep it with what we have been doing.
I should change it, would that work? Yes.
So what date?
It would be.
Tuesday, June 3rd.
June 3rd.
Yeah.
6 o'clock?
6 o'clock,
Keep
yes.
it with the other ones? Okay. Police, fire, and ambulance. We also usually have that around the same time, so.
Yeah, correct.
Yep.
When did we hold, we had set a date for that, or the day, was it the second Tuesday
Yes, there was the second Tuesday.
of the month?
Yeah.
Which would be what, June 10th?
Yep.
Is it the second or the first?
Second.
First would be the rec. And we had a couple times where we
Yep.
had just bucked them up, or bumped them up next to each other, but I think we picked individual nights for each one of those.
Well, it was on the first Tuesday last month, so. We can do.
Well, yeah, you're right, well.
Did we flip those around then?
I don't know, I
Rec is
remember
maybe?
if she had a conflict or not. Maybe first or second, I guess, whichever.
Well, if we set it for the second, she can always change it if it's.
You can.
Right.
The second would then be June 10th. And put it at 6 o'clock. Do you know if you need an ordinance? This coming month?
I will check on that, I think, we'll check on that.
Okay. Public property?
There is a possibility, maybe not in June, but
July?
potentially in July, because when Cedar Corp was gonna come back with their report to you, they had said either we'll bring it and we can report to the full council, or we can report to the committee. So potentially, if they're at the June council meeting, maybe you could check in with them there and say, you know, but between now and June, I don't anticipate that we're going to be buying property,
Okay.
developing any property, so.
And then plan commission, I think we are gonna have one,
We
there's a
will.
sign coming through, I believe.
Yep, and then there's also the Outagamie Co-op Services would like to speak to the Plan Commission about plans for their property.
So that would be on, June 11th, it's usually the second Wednesday of the month.
Is that enough for you?
Yeah. Is there a time with that, did you say?
6, I'm assuming, oh, format of the other one. And then that's all I have.
Just to add real quick too, I've got a note here I forgot to mention. We do have one employee with Public Works Department that's taking a new job, and next week Thursday will be his last day. We did post, I spoke to Nick as the chair of Public Works, and we did post for full-time applications, or that will accept applications. And we've got one back already, but we're accepting them until June 13th. Just to add on that.
And when does the part-time summer probably start on that?
Just started this week.
Okay, so you're
Started this
covered
week.
with that extra right now.
For right now, yeah.
Okay, we have all the meetings. We have no other, nothing on the agenda, so I'd ask for adjournment.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it. Motion been made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.
Let's all remember our veterans on the line.
Yeah. Frank, the day, Friday's the train day?